message in a way that emphasizes the hope and the true beauty and reality of our inherent oneness with our infinite creator. Be as a light, shining in the darkness. Do not burn others with your light, but rather, allow them to be drawn to your light, and be of service to those who come to you willingly. In other words, do not become evangelical with your message, but rather, be the enigmatic and loving wise old sage, to whom others are drawn to because of the quality of his vibration, rather than the volume of his rhetoric. Most importantly, practice that which you preach. Others must be able to see the effect of our infinite creator conducting his wonderful work through you. We wish you well in your task, and are hopeful of a positive harvest for you. But above all things, keep working upon yourself, and keep choosing the positive, and being of service to others, because you desire to, not because you feel that you must. We ask our infinite creator to bless you and guide your path. At Earth Changes. While I understand that death is not the end of my existence, I like my body and would not like to get caught out in any earth changes if I can possibly help it. 1. If your family permits, please could you reveal which places are more likely to be relatively safe during the next 3-4 years? Would the south of China, Canton, Hong Kong or Patagonia be good bets? Any other places? I am not permitted to say much here, as there must be those who remain in their locations, to help others who are not aware of what is coming. Many of you, whether you are aware or not, have chosen this lifetime for that reason, but if you are insistent upon escape, choose the highest places you can find, particularly in the southern hemisphere if you are able. The Peruvian Andes is a good place to be. There is much spiritual power being exercised there, and the Quero elders are well aware of what is going down. At 2. Are John Lear and Lamprecht correct in their assertion that the majority of planets of the solar system are inhabited? Most definitely. Not all on a third density level that you can see though. Is the Earth hollow? Hold on, let me just check. Yes, definitely. If so, how does one gain access? I am not permitted to say. Could you elaborate further on the mechanisms behind the fantastic positive results seen by people who embark on the service to others path? I invite you to really deeply explain the intricacies of the energy play at work. While you get out what you put in is true, I'd like to see the whole concept dissected and fully explored. If you reread some of my recent posts, I believe I have now done so. I recently experienced healing of a minor health problem by sending love to all the sick people in the world. How does this work? Not why, how. Because there is only one of you here. Understand that, at a deep core level of your being, and you will understand how it works. As you do unto others, so you do to yourself. You claim your family was put here to be the negative influence of the world. Is there a family it is asserting a positive influence on us as well? Is it up to us, humanity, to be that positive force? An interesting question. There is such a family, or group more accurately, but you cannot see them, and neither are you aware of their existence. They help the planet from a secret inner location, by the quality of the energy work they engage in and project outward to you, from the source. Yes, it is up to you to be the changes you wish to see, in yourself, and in the world. Your goal is a negative harvest, yet you clearly are touting the benefits of a positive life. This seems antithetical to your goal. That is not so much a question as an observation, but if you could elaborate on that, I would appreciate it. Another very perceptive question. Thank you. Our goal is a negative harvest for ourselves, not for you. We provide the catalyst of negativity for you, and it is up to you what you do with it. The drastic extent of the negativity we create though, has more to do with us, than it does with you. Some of my earlier replies should make clear why that is so. Also, in response to your observation regarding the antithetical nature of some of what I have shared here, there is a simple explanation. Let's put it this way. I have already been, shall we say, chastised for going well beyond my remit here. It was not intended that I be as open as I have been. In fact, if you follow the topic through again from the beginning, you may notice how my tone toward you, collectively, has softened somewhat during our discourse together. I have, as far as possible, adhered fully to the laws of free will and confusion, although there have been instances where I have said more than I should have. You yourselves will not suffer for this, however, when it comes to my next cycle in 4th density negative, and working off my karmic record, I will have to accept the consequences for my actions. But hey, I figure I've got a negative enough life to come as it is, so what's a little extra going to matter? I was reluctant to be the one tasked with this communication. I still very much have a weakness for compassion, but I obey and discharge the assignments given to me. It has been a very long time since I last spent any time in having direct dealings with your kind in general. I do not mean that in an offensive way, just that the vast majority of my time, I only ever see family during my daily and nightly tasks. I do not live what you would call a public life. I am sheltered and secluded. I did not anticipate how involved I would become in this process. To be honest, I really did not expect so many questions, and such a warm and open-minded reception. From the majority, you could say, that I have in some way, grown somewhat attached to you. In effect, this window of opportunity, has also become such for me too. What began as me just doing my duty, has become more a labor of love, and when this is all over by the end of this evening, I think I will actually kind of miss you all, and having this involvement with those of the outside world. I was chosen because it was desired that someone of my diplomacy skills would be best to deliver this message. Due to the very nature of the subject matter, there was much potential for discord. It was felt important that the message did not become lost in a self-righteous or defensive delivery system. So, you got me, and I'm actually glad now in retrospect that you did. I sit here and chuckle to myself, in light of the way some people here have spoken to me, how this discourse may have descended into something ugly. Were certain others amongst my family who were also considered for this assignment to have actually been given the job. Now I know why I was chosen. As with all things, it was meant to be this way. I couldn't care less what others think of me, so long as I know I am serving my creator as he desires, to the best of my ability. His is the only approval I require, or desire. I have nothing to defend, so I guess that's why I was perfect for this task. Anyway, enough with the sentiment. I have more questions to answer. A common saying among Christians is Satan's greatest trick is convincing the world that he didn't exist. I think there are Christians that would look at what you've written and see it as an elaborate ruse to make the devil look good. Satan is a human invention, simply the personification you have given to all the negativity that has existed on this beautiful planet. You didn't know who to blame, and as you could not find it within yourselves to take any of the responsibility, Satan was created to absolve yourselves. Many of my friends and family are Christians, and they would likely think the same. How would one even go about presenting this information to a person of that mindset? I am not here to spread your gospel, but I would definitely like so share this with a few of my friends. How can you present anything to ones who have no desire to have their belief system challenged? They will believe what they want to believe, and noting you or I can say is likely to make any difference. It becomes ingrained at a subconscious level, and when a belief structure becomes that insidious, the only way it is likely to change is through a mystical experience or such a personal demonstration of another way in the life lived of another, that one cannot fail but to notice that there is something different about them. How can you reach such as these? Only by example. That being said, is it okay if I condense your writings into one long post on my blog? I need to make sure that doesn't violate my user agreement here. I would also like to make sure that I won't get a visit from the men in black if I do so. That is amusing. Thank you for the chuckle. Yes, you are most welcome to collate this discourse for presentation elsewhere. The only thing I ask is that anyone choosing to do so respects my wishes and copies only the message itself. In other words, do not include all the petty side discussion. If you want to present this message to others, please honor my original intention, that the message is presented as a whole. When I said in my opening post that I required provisional faith or suspended judgment, I made it very clear why this was the case. I couldn't care less that people do not believe it. I never expected that many would. But what I desired, in asking for the above, was that the message was allowed to be presented in full, with all genuine questions replied to, and then once that process is complete, you can say whatever you like about how much of a hoax you may or may not believe it to be. If I may be crass for a brief moment, I couldn't give a flying how much vitriol and scorn is poured upon our message, or how many futile verbal attacks may be launched against its messenger. The message will reach all those it is meant to reach, and that is exactly the way it should be. It is what the Creator wants. Those with ears to hear, eyes to see, and a heart to understand, will hear the message, and the seeds planted will grow strong in such fertile soil as these. So please therefore, if you respect that which I have shared here, and the courteous manner in which I have shared it, if you want to copy it, copy only my posts. My posts all quote within them the questions I respond to, so there are no other posts required. If a genuine representation of the message is that which you desire to take away with you. Thank you for posting some of the most interesting information I have ever read. I am a bit of a crackpot and I scour the internet for conspiracies, alternative news, UFO videos and the like. I can't say I'm ready to completely buy what you're selling, but it has definitely resonated with me. You are welcome, and I in turn thank you for reading it with an open mind. I would never ask or expect you to buy what I'm selling. If you notice, I have stated throughout our message that the very last thing I want is for it to be blindly believed or taken as gospel. As I've said, it is yet another in a long line of catalysts that your infinite creator has provided you with down the course of history. A catalyst is not meant to be believed. It is meant to present you with a challenge to that which you think you know about reality, and that is all it is meant to do. As always, how you respond to the catalyst is entirely up to you, just the way it always should be. Thank you very much for your very incisive and perceptive questions. Whether you realize it or not, you have contributed greatly to this discourse. We wish you well, and ask our infinite creator to bless you and guide your path. HH put out some incredibly well written information, almost like it flowed from her being onto the thread. And that is possibly the most perceptive realization in this discourse thus far. It also allows me to respond further to an earlier question that I indicated I would go into in more depth later when replying to your observation. This message does indeed flow from my being onto the page. I mentioned before that my role in my family is that of the spiritual discipline. A certain poster made all manner of assumptions as to what that role entails and flailed wildly wide of the mark in the process. As I said previously, all of the power lines, off-world bloodlines, that comprise the inner sanctum, or hidden hands of the family, have certain abilities that third density incarnates do not possess, even the others of our family. The lines you know, one of these being the ability to know their entire incarnational past, with focused concentration. There are a wide array of tasks to be attended to that allows our family to function effectively, and we each specialize in certain areas or disciplines, in order that the body of our family runs like a well-oiled machine. My area, and that which I spend the vast majority of my time actively involved in, is that of spirituality. Our spirituality, not that of the peoples of the earth. Others below me deal more in that area. I could be likened to that of a priest or a minister. In the same way as your religions and spiritual teachers have the responsibility of listening to the voice of their creator and delivering his messages, so too do I have been actively engaged in this role now for a great many years. It has become second nature to me. Actually, more accurately, it has become first nature. A large part of my role is to constantly be in the awareness state of our group soul, Lucifer. That is why you will notice that I so often refer to we even as I am speaking in the first person. That has just become natural for me. I spend most of my time speaking with my family as Lucifer, the group soul perspective. When I speak henceforth, it is not me, the individual soul spark, that is speaking to you in essence, but rather, for want of a better description, because it is far from accurate, you could say that in effect, I am channeling Lucifer. That is why this discourse flows so easily. As some have noted, the chances of me having spent however much vast quantities of time researching all this material to hoax with, and present it in the fluent method that I do, as in regular daily installments, whilst I guess could be remotely possible, is unlikely in the extreme. For those who are open enough to receive the above explanation, now you know why, and how it is done. I speak not for myself, but rather, for him who sent me, my own creator, Lucifer. I know and have experienced that which he knows and has experienced, because essentially, we are one and the same being. I have never been involved in any organized religions per se, but have always been spiritual. I do look at the many religious texts out there because I believe they all have parts to the story. One can find great knowledge from many different books or religious texts. I believe that we as humans are creators like the one creator and we are all one. I also believe we will be moving into a higher level of consciousness where we can consciously co-create in our world, since we are only unconsciously co-creating at the moment. Your insight serves you well. There is so much more I would like to speak with you about, but I'm not able to think of what exactly I want to say. Thanks for those great words that you speak to us and appreciate what you are doing. With love, HH.